Jonathan, great to talk to you. What point would you like to make this morning?
Peter.
Hiya.
And you, Peter. Yeah, we've spoken once before. It's been a few weeks ago. Yeah, do you know, a couple of points, Peter. Do you know what I found really distasteful was the way they kind of rushed Kate to get better, kind of like forcing her recovery through prematurely, you know, like sort of hurrying her, you know, rushing her to get better. You know, you wouldn't do that with a friend or family member, would you? You know.
Yes, that's right. I mean, I think that's a good point, Jonathan, in the fact that it's sort of saying, well, if she's got an abdominal surgery, if she'd had surgery, well, she should be better by now. Yeah. She should be back out doing what she's doing. Do you think she's been sort of forced into making this extraordinary video?
This is another thing. Just generally speaking, I suppose I'm neither a royalist or a Republican. I'm somewhere in the middle. You know, like probably a reformist, really.
Okay.
A reformist royalist. But I generally think. People seem to think these people are privileged and they're so wealthy and they're so privileged. But I question whether that's true. Are they really privileged? I mean, everything you do is scrutinized. You know, everyone's talking about you. You've got no privacy, really, let's face it. You can't really go anywhere. So are they actually privileged, or is it? It's a
real goldfish bowl. I mean, if you had all that money and no accountability and no sort of public-facing role, it would be very nice, and you could live in the lap of luxury, as a very, very small number of people do. But certainly, you're right. But then, of course, some people would say to that, look, I basically agree with you, Jonathan. But I think some people would say, well, actually, Kate married into the royal family. She made a choice, whereas William and her children haven't made a choice. That's where they are, and that's their life, and that's destined for them. That's
a really good point, actually. Yeah, actually choosing to marry into it, unless, of course, you know, as they say, you don't choose who you fall in love with, do they?
Well, that's true, and that leads me to another point.
Know, and if you're brought up on a council estate and you fall in love with somebody from aristocracy, I mean, it does happen, doesn't it?
Well, it would be quite nice to marry well. But Jonathan, another point, I suppose, I want to ask you, because you'll perhaps have thought about this as someone maybe in the middle a little bit in regard to the royal family. I mean, Harry and Meghan, actually, maybe Harry's made the right choice to say, do you know what? I don't want to be part of the circus. I don't want to have all the speculation if, God forbid, and something happens to him, which I hope it doesn't, and I hope he lives a long and happy life. But imagine something like this did happen. Well, actually, that's none of our business either.
No. I mean, if he had made that decision, then fair enough. But there's a difference, isn't there, Peter, between that and really, really toxically attacking the royal family as much as he has. I mean, that's very distasteful, isn't it? I mean, making the decision you just mentioned is one thing, but then just being so obsessively attacking towards the royal family like he has. I mean, you know, sometimes I hear some of this stuff about Harry and Meghan, and I think, is this actually real? Is this actually really happening? Because what we're hearing is so crazy and off the scale, isn't it? And you think, are they really like that? Is this really happening? Are they that bad?
Sometimes it's spin, but then sometimes, you know, he did write the memoir and so on. So yeah, when you were watching that video, I mean, everyone's seen perhaps a bit of it or all of it. It's only about 2.5 minutes from Princess Kate yesterday. I mean, what was your reaction when you saw that she was sitting on that bench with great dignity, but also she was clearly, you know, it was clearly an emotional video for her as well, as you would expect for someone dealing with such an incredibly life-changing set of health circumstances, but also the scrutiny she's been under for such a long time.
I thought it was very tasteful, very well-rounded, very elegant, very classy, very humble. At first, I thought, is that her? I wasn't sure if it was even her, you know, because she looked, you know, sort of so grey, you know. But then that's understandable.
Yeah, and thin as well. But listen, that's part of it. That's part of the treatment she'll be going under.
They didn't try and glamorise anything. She didn't. They didn't try and glamorise her, did they? It was very humble.
It was very straightforward, I thought.
A public servant, you know, just doing her duty, and I just think it was distasteful the way, before we knew about the cancer, you know, the way they tried to sort of force through a recovery and rush her to get better. I mean, if you had a friend or family member who was ill, you'd just give them time, wouldn't you, to get better, as long as it takes, you know. You know, you don't rush it, do you?
You're absolutely right, Jonathan. No, I think
naturally, but with her, we have to kind of rush it through, force it through.
But we want everything. We want to know. We want to know all the detail yesterday. Listen, thank you very, very much indeed, Jonathan.
Thank you, Peter. It's been great to chat.
Great to chat too. You make some really, really good points.